Welcome back. And yes, yes, I will use any excuse I have to in order to wear Buffalo. If they win a game, odds are you'll see their jersey when I do the review, because I don't know how many times this is going to happen this year. And they're undefeated in regulation in their last four. So how's that for a turn of events? And I have to say that of tonight's games, the scoring seems to be in around playoff mode for most of these games. And, you know, it's some really good hockey. So let's go ahead and jump in with Buffalo and the Rangers. We're going to start off with this one. So for the Rangers, this is a really important game because, of course, they can see that Boston is kind of up and down, and if the Rangers can go on a bit of a run, maybe they can threaten the Rangers, right? And of course, Philadelphia, they're going through their share of struggles right now, so that's something they've got to be looking at and saying, okay, we've got a chance here. Asplund, tests Shesterkin early. Ullmark then denied Lindgren. Lindgren hasn't got a goal yet, but he's definitely getting those chances. Shots were actually 4-2 for the Rangers 5.5 minutes in. So the Rangers definitely had more jump early. Dahlin then had a wraparound try. The Rangers end up with a power play, and they score on it. It's Panarin from Zibanejad and Kreider at 10:02. So Zibanejad continues his hot streak from recent weeks. Borgen then Borgen on this play collided with Ullmark, and they kind of stopped playing. So Ullmark should have got up a little. It was weird. And then it was an easy goal for Panarin. But still, they all count the same. The Rangers press with 8.5 minutes left, and then going the other way, Mittelstadt scores from Hall and Dahlin at 13:01. So the Sabres, they tie it up. There's a dangerous New York Rangers chance with 4 minutes and 20 seconds left in this period, but we come out of the first period and it's tied at 1. And again, one thing that Buffalo seems to be getting better at is playing each period. And I know that sounds simple, but when a team has lost as many in a row as they had, playing every period is really, really, it's a key starting point, and it feels like they're getting there. Second period, first minute Rangers power play. There were chances for the Rangers at 4 minutes after that power play ended. The Sabres then got a power play. That was killed off. Yoki Haru had a chance that was saved. The Rangers then scored, and the Sabres decided we're going to challenge that as offside. And it was so close. Like, I couldn't see the puck was or wasn't touching the line. Rob Ray even said, yeah, whatever they call it, it's up to them because I can't tell. So it counts. Panarin from Fox and Lindgren at 17:52. And of course, you get a power play for a failed challenge. So that's killed off and we go to the third period. The Sabres would press at 4.5 minutes. Things get kind of scrummy when the Sabres decide to poke at Shesterkin while he's covering the puck, which is what happens in hockey. The Sabres get close with 7 minutes left, and then they do score, and it's Olofsson scoring from Okposo and Reinhardt at 16:19. And then Kravtsov gets robbed after that. We end up going overtime. Overtime was, it was slow. First chance went to the Rangers. The Sabres would end up controlling the puck in the final minute. But, and again, going back to Rob Ray on this, he even said it felt like Buffalo was trying to get it to the shootout for Ullmark, because they believe in Ullmark. And sure enough, Tage Thompson, of all people, has the shootout winner. There you go. Buffalo wins 3-2 in the shootout. The Rangers drop to 17-15-5. Buffalo goes to 8-23-6. It's a lousy record, but you know what? At least it's better than it was. 3 stars in this one. Panarin, Fox, and Mittelstadt. That's one of the 3 stars I looked at tonight and said, really? You're not going to give Ullmark one of the 3 stars? Really? Seriously? All right. Okay. Shots, 10-9 Buffalo in the first, 10-9 Buffalo in the second, 11-8 for the Rangers in the third. Both teams had 1 shot in overtime. Final shots, 30-29 in favor of the Rangers. Power plays, the Rangers go 1 for 3. Buffalo 0 for 2. The hits. Okay, what's going on here, Buffalo? They got out hit by the Rangers, which isn't why I'm saying what's going on. It's 18-4. How do you get 4 hits in 3 periods in an overtime? You have to be actively trying not to hit people. I look over here, we got 19, 27, 19, 4. And I'm just looking at the lower number, 4. In 65 minutes of hockey, there were 4 hits. 4. Block shots were 17-7 for the Rangers. They weren't blocking a lot either. So, not a really physical game by Buffalo. I were they all Okposo? Like, it just, man. All right. So 18-4 were the hits. That's weird. And yeah, Shesterkin saves 27 out of 29. Ullmark saved 28 out of 30. Both goaltenders were very good. Neither of them get into the 3 stars. It shows I wasn't picking them. So there you go. All right, moving along. Flyers in against the Islanders. And the Flyers played the way they need to play. They play desperate hockey. They just don't get breaks. And, Sorokin had one of the best games he's had so far in his young career. And so for the Islanders, this is a good result. For the Flyers, there's some encouraging things in this game. So let's go through it. Early on, Johnston had a fight with Morin. And that was kind of just out of nowhere. Apparently, they discussed this before the game, so it may not have been as out of nowhere as it appeared to me. Early play favored the Flyers. The Islanders were stuck at 1 shot 8 minutes into the game. Power play for the Islanders. Lawton nearly sprung shorthanded. Almost gets out there shorthanded. And then the power play goal was Beauvillier from Martin and Eberle at 12:01. So the Flyers almost had, and then nope, goes the other way. The Islanders go back to the power play. That one was killed off. The Flyers then get a power play, and it turned into 1 minute and 4 seconds of 5-on-3. The Islanders' penalty kill was very aggressive and played very well. Made it look like, 3-on-5, no big deal. They killed it off. We go to the second period with the Islanders ahead, even though the Flyers had been very good to this point in the game. The Islanders not getting shots. Not that it mattered. Flyers were leading in shots 3-1, 4 minutes in, just to prove the point. Power play for the Flyers was killed off, and then the Islanders make it 2-0. Yep, Beauvillier from Barzal at 15:40. So Beauvillier with a couple of goals, and both of his goals are the only ones in the game. It's 2-0 after 2. Third period, the Islanders get another power play. This seems to be a bit of a trend here. The Islanders suddenly getting power plays. However, that's killed off, and then Claude Giroux scores at 6:38 to make it 2-1. But the Islanders go back on another power play. A lot of it going on this game. Hart made good saves on that penalty kill, and they killed it off. And Carter Hart tonight really started playing like the Carter Hart we saw last season. Giroux would then score again from Patrick and Konechny at 10:32. So Nolan Patrick gets on the board. A lot of good things if you're a Flyers fan in this. The shots at that point in the game were almost 2-1 in favor of the Flyers. The Islanders would start to press at that point. So we go to overtime. The Islanders controlled it early and controlled it for basically the whole thing. Bailey had a shot that was saved by Hart, and then with 15 seconds left, they get a power play. So we end up going to a shootout. Barzal ends up scoring the winner. Sorokin, I think that's his first shootout victory. 24-10-4 now is the record for the Islanders. Philadelphia drops to 17-14-5. Rough week for Philadelphia, but it feels like this game was better than some of the others. They were down 2-0. They fought back. They got a point out of it. Carter Hart had a good game. Your 3 stars, Beauvillier, Giroux, and Sorokin. Your shots, 10-3 Flyers in the first, 11-7 Flyers in the second. Both teams had 11 shots in the third, and then in the overtime, 3 shots, all of them for New York. Final shots, 32-24 for the Flyers. Power plays, 0-3 for Philly, 1-5 for the Islanders. Hits, 25-19 Philly. Block shots, 14-6 for the Islanders. Carter Hart, 22 saves on 24 shots. Again, best performance he's had in a while. And Sorokin, 30 saves on 32 shots. So we'll see whether or not this means Hart's, got his head back into it, because there's been a lot of talk about whether or not it might be, and with goaltenders, it's not really a secret that a lot of this is psychological. I've talked about this with many goaltenders over the years, that a lot of it does come down to psychological, a belief you're able to stop the puck. And if you have it, you're great. And if you don't, you're in trouble. So right now, tonight, Carter Hart should feel pretty good about himself. All right, next up, Dallas. I don't want to get my hopes up with Dallas. And here's why. I know Dallas went to the Stanley Cup final. I know they can go on a little bit of a run and maybe sneak up and grab that 4th spot. It can be tough with Nashville playing as well as they are. But if Dallas can beat Nashville, right? But I would be concerned if Dallas did make the playoffs, if they snuck in, that they'd get destroyed in the first round by Carolina, Tampa, or Florida. That's one thing. And then the other side of it is, I don't know how I'd feel about a team with 10 points garnered in overtime and shootouts through losses beating out a team that's got a lot less and actually had more wins. And that's a conversation we can have at another point. And it just shows I don't care if it's a team I cheer for. If they have less wins than another, I don't feel all that great about them ending up in a playoff spot. So the Canes were wearing their thirds. This is not the first time they've lost wearing their thirds this year, is it? So chances were in the Canes' favor, but then Dallas got a shot. They get a goal. Cogliano scores from Pesic and Como at 3:41. The Canes would do their best to answer, and they do. Dougie Hamilton, who's now on a 2-game point streak because he had that one game where he missed, so he's back on a point streak. He scores from Trocheck at 9:32. So it's 1-1, pretty good back and forth action. The Stars would get some pressure with 2:30 left, but it's 1-1 after one. Second period, Nedeljkovic's mask gets hit by Pesic, knocks it right off. And it was interesting because they didn't blow the whistle right away. Normally the whistle gets blown right away. They didn't. And it looked like Nedeljkovic was ready to stop the puck if he needed to without his mask. Stars get a power play. That was killed off. Key moment there if you're Carolina. And then they score. Hayden Fleury gets a goal from Lawrence and Martinook at 13:04. And I know this was hours ago now, right? This goal may have been changed. It may not have ended up being Fleury's. It may have been Paquette's. So if it got changed, it's Paquette's goal. But last time I kept waiting for them to change it. And finally I'm like, all right, well, the other late games are on. So I thought it was Paquette's goal, but it may very well have been Fleury's. The Canes press with 4.5 minutes left. There was then a power play for the Canes. That's killed off. Good penalty kill by Dallas tonight. And it was the only time they needed it. Last minute, the Stars get a power play and they score. So if Dallas's power play continues to heat up, they've got a chance at that last playoff spot. Ben gets that goal from Klingberg and Heiskanen at 19:31, and maybe Ben's heating up as well. That's a 2-game goal scoring streak. It's modest, but at least it's a streak in the right direction. So it's 2-2 after 2. Third period, early chances for the Canes. Hamilton then dropped Gurianov, which when a guy just skates into somebody, just drops him, and he's gone. He drops below the board, so what you see on TV is he's just off. I always in my head go, well, he's over. His career ended rather early. That was kind of abrupt. His career's ended. So that's what I think when I see Hamilton drop Gurianov. So there you go. Ottinger then caught a good chance for McGinn. And then Tanner Caro, who I mentioned in a preview not too long ago. I don't know if it was the one for today or not, but I know I've mentioned him in the last couple. He gets a goal from Robertson and Pesic at 2:52. So Pesic with a couple helpers, and Caro gets the leading goal, 3-2. So Heiskanen had a dangerous fling at the net, and that was after the Canes were getting robbed at the other end by Ottinger. There was a wraparound by, I want to say, Svechnikov that happened as well. Goalie pull with 2 minutes left. This is why I take all these notes, because then, it reminds me of stuff that happened during the game. I can't just remember all this up here. 1:17 left. The Canes call a timeout. So they were playing 6-on-5. They could not get the tying goal. And I was expecting it, because this is an overtime. I'm like, this is going to go to overtime. And it didn't. The Stars hold on. They win 3-2 in regulation. They go to 13, 12, and 10. Carolina drops to 24, 9, and 3. And your 3 stars, Ben, Ottinger, and Hamilton. Your shots, 15-11 Carolina in the first, 12-8 Carolina in the second, 16-6 Carolina in the third. I would have given Ottinger a star. That's me again for goaltenders, right? Final shots, 43-25 for Carolina. Power plays, Dallas 1 for 2, Carolina 0 for 1. Hits, 37-27 Dallas. Block shots, 12-11 for Dallas. Ottinger, 41 saves on 43 shots at one end. Nedeljkovic, 22 saves on 25 shots at the other. Again, Ottinger, considering, Hudobin's in protocol now, Ottinger steps up. Kind of the man. Kind of like to see him as one of the 2 goaltenders right through and past the deadline. So even if Bishop comes back, I'd like to see Ottinger stick around. I'm not sure how they make that work, but hopefully they do, because he's excellent. All right. Columbus. This is another one of those games. So Columbus, they've been having their problems, and they've dug themselves into a bit of a hole. And tonight they had good moments. They had good parts of this game where they were playing well, and then by the end of the night, they're on the losing end. Let's go through this. Reverse retro for the Panthers. Bobrovsky stopped a Foligno shot. Bobrovsky had a very good game. The Panthers get a power play. It is unsuccessful. Savard had a point shot that was blocked. The Cats cleared out. That was during some pressure by Columbus. A really good first half for Columbus. They kept it in Florida's end quite a bit. They press with 8.5 minutes left. They would end up getting a power play as well, and Florida killed that off. So in the last minute, the Panthers get a power play. That'll carry over into the second period. Scoreless game. Second period, that power play, the rest of that would be killed off, but then Mackenzie Weegar with a nice one too. Scores from Barkov and Verhaeghe at 3:57. So that makes it 1-0 for Florida. And then 4:49, less than a minute later, another goal. Wenberg from Vetrano and Hornquist. Now, I don't know, I don't have any evidence that Wenberg looks behind the Columbus bench and goes, there's the guy who benched me and didn't necessarily like me. And I don't have any way to prove it, but tonight's performance by Wenberg tells me maybe if you're Florida, maybe have a cardboard cutout of Tortorella handy. So when he's having a rough game, he'll just like look behind the other team's goaltender, and there it is in the corner. There's Tortorella, and there's Tortorella. You can get really angry, right? So yeah, the interesting thing was then there was a post for the Panthers shortly after that. They're like, oh no, it's because the interesting part was the horn sounds, the fans cheer, hands go up in the air on the ice, and the referee waved it off immediately. But when all of those things combine to say it's a goal, you have to look at the ref and go, are you sure? So the horn sounds, and yeah, no, that was in. Wenberg gets that goal from Vetrano and Hornquist at 4:49. That was what happened there. So yeah, I'm on the Wenberg bit, and then I meander, and then I come back, and then you won't get that on TSN. All right, so Columbus tries to answer. They're not able to. In fact, Wenberg scores at 8:47 from Weegar. So again, probably giving one of these to Tortorella on the way by. That makes it 3-0. And then the Panthers press again with 3 minutes left. So the Panthers are just absolutely blowing the doors off Columbus's chances. So you go to the third period. Korpisalo's in now. So Merzlikins is mercifully out, and Korpisalo is in. Huberdeau had a fast break. That was saved by Korpisalo. Welcome to the game. Here's Jonathan Huberdeau. Try to stop him. And then Bjorkstrand scores from Del Zotto and Texier at 2:46. So Del Zotto, who cooled off to the point where he was in the press box, I think last week, now he gets an assist here. Texier with an assist. A lot of guys who've been in and out of the doghouse this year. That happens when your team doesn't score enough goals. Huberdeau then had a turnover, and Bobrovsky bailed him out with a nice save. Power play for the Panthers. That is unsuccessful, but after that's over, Vetrano scores from Tippett, so Vetrano stays hot. That's at 10:54. We then get another power play for the Panthers. That is unsuccessful. If their power play clicked tonight, this score would have been way more lopsided than it was. Werenski would score from Nash at 18:15 to make it a 2-goal game. So immediately on the faceoff, you've got to pull the goalie. There's very little chance. And that means Wenberg, empty net goal at 19:53 with 7 seconds to spare. That's his first career hat trick. I have no proof that the game puck, he has to get Tortorella to sign it. No proof, none. But it's his first career hat trick. Florida wins 5-2 for Columbus. It's another blow to any hopes they have of making the playoffs. They're at 14-17-8. For Florida, they're 25-9-4. So they just keep rolling. Stars in this one, Bobrovsky, Wenberg, and Weegar. Your shots favored Columbus throughout. 16-12 in the first, 15-13 in the second, 15-14 in the third. Final shots 46-39. 85 shots in this game. Power plays, Columbus 0 for 1, Florida 0 for 4. Hits favored Columbus 31-19, so they out-hit them and outshot them. Block shots favored Columbus 17-14. Merzlikins 22 saves on 25 shots. Korpisalo 12 saves on 13 shots. Bobrovsky saved 44 out of 46. So earned that money tonight. And the post, and then they review it and it was in, all that, and yeah. But I got so sidetracked with the Wenberg. Here I am, sidetracked again. It happens. It's been a long day. All right, let's go ahead and change boards and put everybody watching this out of their misery. All right, so what we learned tonight in the Montreal-Ottawa game is Montreal needs to play full 60 minutes against every team every night. And this was a bit of a wake-up call for a Montreal team that won both games coming out of their lockdown. Now they're back on the ice and 2-0 and everything looks great. And this game tonight, yeah, it's... All right, so Forsberg versus Price. Who would you have thought would have been the star of the game? While neither goaltender gets into the 3 stars, Forsberg was really pretty good, considering his pads don't match the... Like, I understand, you know, pandemic shutdowns and everything, but his pads don't match the jersey at all. So it makes it look like he's an emergency backup goaltender. It really does. Early Sens power play, and they score on it. Tkachuk at 42 seconds from Batherson and Chabot, and that's kind of how tonight was going to go for Montreal. Habs get a power play of their own. They score on that. Toffoli, who's back in the lineup, gets a goal from Suzuki and Weber at 5:31. The Habs, they then got a chance, drew a power play of their own, Zub taking that penalty, and then the Habs get another power play after that. Well, Ottawa gets a shorthanded goal to go up 2-1. Connor Brown from Paul and Coburn at 12:07. And yeah, that was interesting. And then you get a shorthanded stop by Forsberg on Toffoli as Montreal tried to use that power play to tie it up after allowing the shorthanded goal. Toffoli was then denied with 4:30 left, so even though he had a goal in that first period, Toffoli could have had a hat trick in that first period. And then Tkachuk and Weber had a fight. They were at it all night. They don't like each other. I get the feeling they don't. And they talked about how Tkachuk is one of the top 5 guys in the league with shots. I think it's shots and hits, and they said nobody's ever been top 5 in both categories in the NHL. This is why when he gets a big raise and people say, well, what has he done? We can point at those stats and say he is clearly very effective at what he does. I'd also point at the fact that he's a good agitator. He does draw penalties. So second period, he takes penalties too, but he draws penalties. Second period, Josh Anderson, who had 1 goal in his previous 10 games, he gets going tonight. First, he scores from Kotkaniemi at 6:58, and that was a counter after a really nice save by Price. However, Dadonov, less than a minute later, gets a goal from Chabot and Anisimov. So Anisimov, who had cleared waivers, he gets an assist there, and that puts Ottawa right back in the lead. And they started speculating, looks like Weber and Tkachuk might have another fight, just because every time they're on the ice, they're kind of like, I don't like you, I don't like you either. I don't like your face, I don't like your face. And a lot of that. And there was a lot of hard hitting and some real dislike in this game, which is kind of nice, right? We like that in a hockey game. We don't like them to be all, getting along and, you seem to have fallen down. Let me help you up. No. Dadonov then scores his second of the period from Anisimov and Stützle at 16:04. So Stützle gets on the board, and that puts Ottawa up 4-2. And it's kind of odd because it doesn't feel like a game Ottawa should be up 4-2 in. Gallagher also exited. He would be back in the third period, but that's a scary sight if you're a Montreal fan. Gallagher, who does have his share of injuries over the years, seeing him leave, it's like, okay, you don't want to lose Gallagher. Even though it looks like at this point there's no threat to their spot in the playoffs, you don't want to lose Gallagher. Anderson would then score to make it a 1-goal game from Weber and Danault at 18:48. And then Ottawa gets a delay of game call in the final minute. So maybe some nerves getting in there, some inexperience, and that kind of thing. But we go to the third period, and Ottawa finishes off that penalty kill. Forsberg then denied Gallagher. And it was a really nice shot by Gallagher and great save by Forsberg. And then Anisimov gets goal to go with his 2 assists from Formenton at 2:55. So that was on a turnover right behind the Montreal net. And Anisimov finishes it off. Things get kind of scrummy with 11:51 left because that's how these teams roll. Toffoli then missed a tip-in, and that scrummy bit, that was basically Goodbranson deciding he'd had enough of some of the Montreal Canadiens. I have no proof that he tried to fling him over the glass, but sure, why not? Toffoli, he didn't. But okay, Toffoli then missed a tip-in. It was close. Power play then for the Habs. It doesn't go. They pull the goaltender, which gives Batherson the empty net goal from Riley at 17:05. Ottawa handles Montreal 6-3. They go to 13-21-4. Montreal drops to 16-9-9. So that's 41 points to 30 points. That's 11 points out for Ottawa. You're not making the playoffs, Ottawa, but you're making it difficult for other teams. 3 stars in this one: Dadonov, Anderson, and Anisimov. Shots favored Montreal the whole way. 14-13 in the first, 12-9 in the second, 12-10 in the third. Final shots 38-32 for Montreal. Power plays: Ottawa 1 for 2. Didn't suck tonight. Montreal 1 for 5. Hits: 33-27 for Montreal. Block shots: 16-11 for Ottawa. Forsberg saves 35 out of 38. Price saved 26 out of 31. And Carey Price was trending on Twitter. I don't think it was because of his fantasticness from tonight. Yeah, that's a word. It's a word. All right, next up, St. Louis and Colorado. This, if you want to see how heartbreaking the season has been for St. Louis, this game perfectly encapsulates it. This was a really good road game played by St. Louis and a really good game played by Ville Husso that just, they got the rug torn out from under him. So early shots were for the Blues, the Avs wearing their thirds. The shots were 7-0 at 4 minutes for St. Louis. They were relentless out there. And the Avs looked kind of slow early, like they just didn't wake up. It was similar to what Boston did earlier today. Scramble at the Blues net at 6.5 minutes. The Avs end up getting a power play. They had no shots on it, but the momentum had started to shift. And then McKinnon scores from Landeskog and Taves at 11:27. The Avs then go right back on the power play. We then get 18 seconds of 4-on-4 before the Blues get their first power play. And there was a nice goal line stand on a Tarasenko chance where they were pretty sure it was going to go in and the Avs keep it out. O'Reilly, though, would score from Shannon Perron at 18:03 to make it 1-1, and that's just after their power play had ended. So it's 1-1 after one. Second period, early power play for the Blues. That's killed off. Husso saved a good chance for McKinnon. Things get scrummy at 6 minutes. Bortuzzo snapped at that point. Then O'Brien was taken out because he had a fight with Bortuzzo. It didn't last that long, but they get tangled up, and he's brought to the ice, and he hit his face and his head pretty hard when he hit the ice. So they took him out of the game. Hopefully O'Brien's okay. It's one of those things where even if a guy comes back in the game, you think to yourself, okay, so is that going to bug him later? Is he going to have headaches later? Are we going to look at concussion symptoms? So hopefully O'Brien's okay, because wasn't he an injury replacement for somebody else like O'Connor? Man, this season's just been brutal. The Avs emerged from all of that with a power play. And then it became a 5-on-3. So during the 5-on-3 power play, Husso, who is a rookie at the NHL level, he nudged the net off. And it was funny because it is one of those plays where a goaltender will do that. It should be a delay game penalty. Absolutely. The referee goes over and basically warns him. Basically, it was all right, you might be able to argue that you didn't know the net was there, but you knew it was there and you knocked it off. You do it again, then you're getting a penalty. It may have been because they were already 2 men short and you didn't want to add on another penalty. So yeah, the Blues would end up killing it off after Saad got hit on the knee with a shot. So he's in front of the net, right, trying to screen the goaltender. So the shot was wound up for and taken. I want to say it was Makar, but it's a slap shot from the point, and he jumps into the air, and it looked like it caught him on the top of the kneecap. That just sounds like it would be really, really painful. That would have to be a no from me if somebody asked me if I wanted to take a slap shot off the kneecap. Even if they said, well, you're going to be protected, we'll make sure you're padded up. No, I'm good. Thank you. So then we get into it. The Blues come back. A big save by Grubauer at around the 11-minute mark. Kadri had a breakaway. Husso saved that. In the last minute, the Blues get some chances. We go to the third period. Early shots favored the Avs. They came out very sharp. Power play for the Blues. That's killed off. The shots were 7-5 for Colorado with 7.5 minutes left. And, of course, that includes St. Louis having that 2-minute power play. The Avs press was 6.5 minutes left. And while they were in between plays, I remembered Darude's Sandstorm. I'm still tired of that song. I'm still over it. They were playing it during the pause and play, and I was like, this song. I'm tired of it enough that I have to put it on the board. Bozak then missed high on a shot in the final 2 minutes, and it felt like that was key enough to put that on the board, sort of like Sandstorm. But then O'Reilly, in a play that was very un-O'Reilly-like. O'Reilly is one of the best two-way forwards in the game. He throws it up the boards. It goes to Makar. Makar takes the shot. It goes off Jaden Schwartz's stick, and it ends up in the back of St. Louis's net. 19-19 of the third period. So not only is it a leading goal, but it's in the last minute of the third period. You don't have a chance. And so, I mean, St. Louis did what they could, but they don't tie it. They dropped 16, 15, and 6. They don't even get a point out of this. They're still a point behind Arizona. For Colorado, they're 25-8-4. If you're an Avs fan, odds are you're pretty happy about them beating St. Louis. 3 stars, Grubauer, Makar, and McKinnon. Shots in this one, close. 14-14 in the first. Colorado outshoots them 12-6 in the second. Both teams had 8 shots in the third. Final shots 34-28 for Colorado. Power play, St. Louis 0 for 3, Colorado 0 for 4. Hits 18-6 for St. Louis. So Colorado barely had more hits than Buffalo. Block shots 14-7 for St. Louis. Husso, 32 saves on 34 shots, does not get into the 3 stars. And I saw all 3 stars were Colorado, and I'm like, really? Husso should get something for that. Grubauer, 27 saves on 28 shots. Legit the 1st star, but Husso should have been in there too. All right. That being said, moving along. Vegas. I can't say that Vegas is in trouble, but it's starting to feel like they could be. So you've got Colorado with the win and Vegas tonight giving Minnesota hope. Minnesota's been seen by many, myself included, as the number 3 team, right? You've got Colorado, you've got Vegas, and you get everybody else. Minnesota's number 3, and then 4th, who knows? But it's a 2-horse race. Maybe not. Maybe Minnesota, if they can find that consistency, and if they can do anything against Colorado, that would help. But maybe there's a chance here. So the gold jerseys were on for Vegas. It's nice to see that it looks like the gold helmets have been retired. They haven't been wearing them even when they've been wearing the gray jerseys. They're going to wear them with gold jerseys. They don't, so I think they've been retired. The shots were 2 apiece at 5 minutes, but no sack scores from Raw and Tuck at 5:33. McNabb had a chance that goes wide as Vegas pressed, but this game coming out of that first period, it felt like, okay, so this is one of those Vegas games where they're going to win at 1 or 2 or 3-0. Where it's going to be a grind. There may not be a ton of really great chances, and they're going to emerge with the victory. It's the kind of game that Vegas is capable of playing. Second period, early chance for the Wild. Fleury made the save there. Stone gets a turnover. I wrote that down because it happens every game. It happens every period of every game, it seems. Johansson had a shot that was saved. Good back and forth play at that stage of the second period. Vegas gets a power play. That was killed off. We were a crossbar away from 2-0, which is fine because Dumba hit a crossbar as well. We were a crossbar away from 1-1. The Wild press at the halfway mark. Vegas get their chance to do the same with 5 minutes and 30 seconds left. Few good chances, though, either way at that stage. It really got clamped down. The first period, lots of good, wide-open action. Second period, they really clamped down on it pretty well. We get a 4-second power play for the Wild. And then it becomes 4-on-4, which means Vegas had a 4-second power play as well. The Wild went almost 10 minutes between shots. So there's that. Fiala and Pietrangelo at the horn, not very friendly with one another. Not exchanging phone numbers, just kind of unpleasantness. So we go to the third period. Talbot saved an early shot from Tuck. Bonino was denied, and then Suter was denied as well. Fleury, I felt, was due for a shutout. It's on me, right? No, because I wrote it on the board. That's on. I did it, right? It's the powers. I used my powers. I'm sorry. They clearly, I wrote it on the board, and then the rest of the game happened, and there you go. The Wild get a power play, and I wrote, does it suck? Because it's been that way but recently it's been better. So is it going to be the better power play or the worst power play? Which one's it going to be? Vegas had only allowed 14 power play goals, which was the second fewest in the NHL. I wrote that on the board. Again, that's the power of what I write showing up again. And it's a power play goal for Kaprizov, which means they've allowed 15 goals on the power play. Fleury doesn't get the shutout. And it's a tie game from Eriksson Ek and Fiala at 6:13. And it's less than a minute later, Minnesota scores again. Eriksson Ek from Greenway and Suter at 7:08. Remember, Vegas has been the best team in the third period all year in the NHL. If that narrative is about to change, you'd have reason to be concerned if you're Vegas right now. There's a power play then for Vegas. That was their third of the game. But it doesn't, not only does it not score, it doesn't register a shot. Vegas, had some problems. The Wild went over 7 minutes between shots. Keep in mind they went over 10 minutes between shots here. 4:16 left. Nosek gets a penalty. The Wild go to the power play. It doesn't score, but it does take 2 minutes off the clock. Vegas calls a timeout with 1 minute and 59 seconds left, which means pull the goalie. And the Wild hold on. They win this one 2-1. They go to 23-11-2. Vegas drops to 24-10-2. So if you're following along at home, Colorado now has a 4-point lead on Vegas. Minnesota's now within 2 points of Vegas and within 6 still of Colorado. So Minnesota's in this. And for Vegas, they've now won 2 out of 6 against the Minnesota Wild. 3 stars, Eriksson Ek, Kaprizov, and Nosek. Shots in this one, 12-10 Minnesota in the first. Both teams had 7 shots in the second. Vegas did outshoot Minnesota 11-8 in the third. Final shots, 28-27 for Vegas. Power plays, Minnesota goes 1 for 3. Vegas goes 0 for 3. Hits, 23-16 in favor of Minnesota. Minnesota out hit Vegas. That's rare for Minnesota or for Vegas to get out hit. Blocked shots, Minnesota 26-11. So Minnesota, a lot of shot blocking out there. Talbot saves 27 out of 28. He likes playing against Vegas. And Fleury, 25 saves on 27 shots. Very good game. And they lost it. So we'll see what happens from here. All right, last game of the night. San Jose. So San Jose looked dead and buried, I'll say 10 days ago, 2 weeks ago. And even the announcers, the San Jose announcers, tonight kept talking about how San Jose looked done a couple weeks ago. It looked like they were not going to make the playoffs. There's just no way, no chance. They are now 1 point back of the playoffs. They are now tied with the St. Louis Blues. They have more wins than the St. Louis Blues. This is a bizarro world that we're really living in here. And they kept talking about the collapse of St. Louis and how that's opened the door for Arizona, for San Jose, and maybe LA. But again, LA needed to win this one tonight. And it's another rough one. They do not match up well with San Jose. So early chances favored the Kings, who were wearing their beautiful silver third jerseys. But LeBanc scores from Knyzhov and Carlson at 4:37, a goal they initially gave to Kane, but Kane didn't actually touch it. And this is 5 out of 6 games now where the Sharks have scored first. And that is so important in today's NHL. Scoring first is so very, very important. Brown, though, would score from Kopitar and Iafallo at 6:55. So they don't hold the lead for very long, and the Kings did show a lot of fight back tonight. Jones then saved as the Kings went for the lead. Martin Jones is playing the best hockey he has in 3 years. Honestly, this is the best, most consistent goaltending San Jose's gotten in years. It is not a coincidence that their goaltending's getting better, and all of a sudden their record's getting better. The Kings get a power play. That was killed off. We go to the second period with 1-1 tie. The Kings pressed at 3 minutes. Quick denied Balcers. And I have to say, tonight they had a whole video package of Rudolph's Balcers and how well he's been playing for San Jose. And I'm here for it. I've been a vocal supporter of Balcers for years. I still don't understand why he was available and why he was waived and goes back to San Jose, but it's been great for the Sharks. Kings get a power play. That's killed off. And then Evander Kane, who now has 12 goals in his last 24 games, he scores from Couture and LeBanc at 15:04. And when Kane's focused and he's playing well, he is one of the best. The Sharks get a power play. During their power play, Trevor Moore gets the goal shorthanded at 19:06. So the Kings emerge from the second period in a 2-2 tie. All they have to do is win the final 20 minutes, right? And if they can win the final 20 minutes, they pull themselves right into the conversation about who's going to win this schmozzle for fourth place in the division, which of course would include Arizona if they were on the board, but they're not. They'll be on the preview board for tomorrow. So the Sharks get a power play. Quick stopped Meyer through a screen, and the Kings would kill off that power play. Vlasic, they announced, would not return, meaning San Jose was down to 5 defensemen for the night. Honestly, they would miss Vlasic if he's out for a while. They didn't miss him the rest of this game. Carlson stepped up very, very well. Burns played pretty darn well as well. And again, if those guys are going, San Jose can very well get that fourth spot. Sorensen missed a chance high. Apparently he did the exact same thing in the last game too. Carlson takes a shot. That one's deflected out. That one was wired. I swear that one was going to go in. Jones fell down. He fell. There wasn't a king around to put the puck in the back of the net, but he did. He fell down. Quick then denied Kane. And then it happens. Quick goes behind the net to play the puck. Mishandles it. It goes to Leonard. Leonard puts it out front to Gambrell. Gambrell looks and goes, I have an entire net to myself. What shall I do? I shall put it in the net. And he does at 15:23. That makes it 3-2 in favor of San Jose. They pulled the goalie with 1 minute and 40 seconds left. Sharks were having problems either being offside or hitting the net, but you know, it's one of those things that you look at and you think, now if they don't hit this empty net and the Kings score. With 31.9 seconds left, the Kings call a timeout. That timeout does not achieve what the Kings are looking for. Your final score is 3-2 in favor of the Sharks. Go to 17, 16, and 4. They're tied with St. Louis in points. They're 1 behind Arizona. This division's going to get crazy. LA drops to 14, 16, and 6. It's a tough go for LA. They're close. You can see it, but San Jose's now ahead. 3 stars in this one: Kane, Moore, and LeBanc. Shots 18-5, LA in the first period. Yeah. 11-10 in the second in favor of San Jose. 9-7 in favor of LA in the third. Final shots 37-23 for LA. Jones isn't one of the stars? Man, come on. I mean, I will bat for goaltenders every time. Because when I look at shot totals like that, I'm thinking, you got to be in there, right? So, I would be the John Garrett of guys picking stars. Like, I would be another John Garrett. To be like, well, Shannon's going to pick both goalies. What a surprise. So, power plays, both teams go 0-for-2. Hits 20-15 in favor of San Jose. Blocked shots 14-8 in favor of LA. Jones saved 33 out of 35. That save percentage has come up. And Jonathan Quick, 20 saves on 23 shots. I think, again, we see Cal Peterson's the better goaltender. But hey, that's it for tonight's action. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below regarding these games. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. And remember, every time Buffalo wins, it may be the last time we see it this year, so it's got to be celebrated. And I do admire teams that still have that work ethic and still go out there and play their hearts out even when they're not making the playoffs. That's impressive. Thank you guys so much for all your support. Do hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. And hey, I'll talk to you again soon.